Welcome to Crowdin Power Up, where we dive into the most exciting and innovative features on the Crowdin platform. Good morning from sunny Texas. Early morning here, afternoon in Amsterdam. What's the weather like in Amsterdam, Dorota?
Yeah, good afternoon from Amsterdam, from rainy Amsterdam. It's rainy and windy and dark. Contrast.
Just like I remembered it. Welcome to the newest episode of Crowdin Power Up. And today we're going to be doing somewhat of a recap of the features that we've been talking about in the past two episodes. There's some upgrades and some new things that we want to share. So, Dorota, take it away.
Sure. So we have new features for more control and efficiency. So you can find some of them in the Agentic AI chat box here in that drop-down menu where you can add your custom mode for the Agentic AI. I will show you how to do it later. So Agentic AI can now edit the source strings directly within your project, which is useful if you want to quickly fix errors in your source file or maybe improve the phrasing of the original text. With Agentic AI, you can also manage comments, add comments to the strings that require clarification, or edit or delete existing comments. For example, you can request the AI to review your entire project and automatically insert comments to the strings that are unclear. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you in the first demo. So I have here a very short update to a mobile app with very short and ambiguous strings. So here it is in the editor in Crowdin. It's difficult to decipher the context. I can maybe find out more about the context. I can infer the meaning to some extent if I look at the XML file. I can look at the key names, I can look at the comments, and maybe deduct the context for my very short ambiguous strings. But translators very rarely get access to the XML files. We only see this screen. We only see the translation, all the strings in the editor, and we have to either ask clients for more clarification or deduct what it means. Luckily, in Crowdin, you can have here this little context section where you see the string name, and sometimes there will be also any comments from the XML file, so you can use it as well to deduct the meaning. But it's not always clear what a string means if you don't have enough context. So in some cases, even with these key names and this extra context window here, you will not know how to translate your segment, your string. So now I can use Agentic AI to assist me in solving these ambiguities in my strings. So Agentic AI, so here I'm entering a new prompt. So I want to ask it to review the source strings and then add a comment to anything that is unclear. So I want to use Agentic AI to assist me in solving these ambiguities. So it will look at the code and the key names in my source, and it will help me determine the context. So I can see it added 5 comments, and here I can see short overview of the comments added by Agentic AI. So it decided there are 5 strings that need more clarification. I can go ahead and check in the editor if those comments are really there. So one is with the code, yes, and there it is. It tells me what's the likely meaning. There's another with the 3 dots. It could be a menu, but it suggests it's maybe better to change those 3 dots into more options. Now another string was the variable. So it tells me that the variable could be a tricky string, and it could mean anything. So, we could leave it as it is, or just ask client what could the variable stand for. And then another comment under for you, and another under minutes per kilometers, where it is clear for people using metric system. It's clear that that's minutes per kilometer, but maybe it could lead to some confusion as well. So these comments might be helpful. Sometimes it will be some obvious hints that you could deduct from just looking at the keys, but sometimes it will give you a valid alternative idea or suggestion. Now I can use these hints to translate the file manually or pre-translate it with AI. So once I have all the uncertainties listed here in the Agentic AI chat box, or also added as my comments. I don't have to look at the strings one by one before I translate, or I don't have to wait until I finish translating to gather all the unclear strings and then ask my client for feedback. I can maybe rely on the strings flagged by AI and then ask just for clarification for these uncertain strings.
This takes it to a whole new level. In my opinion, I don't know how you experience that as a translator. I'm not doing translation work on a daily basis, but I would think this is super helpful that the agentic AI can give you feedback on what's in front of you and flag you, even if it doesn't, if you don't like all of the comments, it still probably is of great help to have some comments there to be able to review it. Is that the way you experience it working as a translator, Dorota?
Yes, of course. It can give me a quick information that there is something unclear, and there will be strings where I have to spend more time thinking about the context or simply ask my client about the context. So I can ask my client upfront about all the unclear strings. I don't have to spend too much time analyzing the strings one by one because AI can flag for me anything that needs more clarification. And what's also helpful here is that, well, you would see the explanations here in the chat box, but if I leave the chat box, I will lose this output of the chat. Yes, this output will disappear, but because I asked Agentic AI to leave a comment, so when I come back to my file, I will still see those clarifications added as a comment, so I don't use those, I don't lose those suggestions. So now I can translate some of those strings. So I can translate some of those strings, of these ambiguous strings, based on the comment from the Agentic AI.
Mm-hmm.
I will translate, for example, the code. I can also leave the 3 dots as 3 dots. There's no issue here. And I can translate, well, I can copy the variable as well, and I will keep the other strings untranslated. Now I want to ask AI to keep only comments that are unresolved. So the comments next to the strings that are not approved, I will just quickly approve the other 3 strings. And I will ask it to remove comments from the approved strings in this file and keep the other comments so that I can maybe ask for input from project manager or client or developer. So it listed 5 comments, it listed 3 translations, and I can see that it's removing comments. So it's removing the comments that are not useful anymore because I provided my translation. We can quickly check if those comments were really removed. So there was comment next to the variable. Now there's no comment. There was a comment next to the 3 dots, it's not there, and the code, the comment is also deleted. Whereas the comment is still with the other 2 strings, for example, for you, it still has the comment and the measurement as well.
And these comments are visible for the client as well?
Yes. So I can ask more questions, or they can maybe reply to that comment and tell me what's the right way to understand these short strings. Now, let's imagine my source strings need a serious update. Client made several changes to the source file, and I need to retranslate a few segments. And I also have to make sure these strings are reviewed again. Mm-hmm. So the status shouldn't be approved. I don't want that green checkmark approved. It should be only translated. So I could filter the strings here and remove the approval, but I could also speed it up a bit and ask the Agentic AI to remove all the approvals from the from all the strings in this file to make it quicker.
That's beautiful how you can make it work like an assistant here. That should be really helpful.
Yes, and you can also ask AI to remove all translations as well if you don't like it. So it can quickly modify both your source and your translation. So here it tells me that all approvals have been successfully removed. I can see there's no green check mark anymore. I can only see the blue square, so next to my strings on the left-hand side.
And
so I know
you're instructing it to do that just with pure prompting, talking to it as a human being, right? It might be interesting to quickly see or hear what your actual prompt is to do this kind of thing.
Well, now I only said remove approvals from all strings in this file. That's all I said. So this is actually very handy if you are using the tool first time and you don't know where to find certain options. Like you don't know where's the filtering button, where's this feature, where's that feature. You can just ask Agentic AI to do it for you. You don't waste time searching for the buttons or menu items.
Yeah, you're not looking through the documentation, and once you've seen this episode of Power Up, you know that you can communicate with the Agentic AI and have it assist you within the Crowdin platform. That's really a key detail, I think.
Yeah, yes, it's very, very helpful. So the next step here, once my strings are now only translated, not approved, I want to edit the strings according to the instructions sent by my client. So these are just... this is exactly what my client told me. They told me correct these source strings as follows. So instead of going to the strings one by one and editing them, like changing prefs to preferences or for you to select it for you, I will just copy paste these instructions and I will ask Agentic AI to do it for me. So these are only 5 strings. So this is not such a big change, but imagine if I have to change 50 or 500 strings in a file that has thousands of strings. So that would be really a lot of work. I don't have to change these strings manually, and I don't have to upload a new file. So I have a quick overview here. Agentic AI tells me these source strings were changed. We can double check. So now, for example, for you is selected for you as per my instructions. And another string, for example, prefs, it's now preferences. So AI did change the source strings. So I don't have to do it manually. I don't have to waste time. And, well, editing source in one quick step is extremely convenient because, well, I don't need to upload a new file. I don't have to edit it manually. And source updates happen very often in localization and translation projects. So it's always useful to have a quick strategy for such scenarios.
Yeah, and it's really, this is a great example of how the AI truly is becoming quote unquote agentic. And it's now an assistant that can help you do things in bulk, like you just showed, in a way that you would have to know all the different machinations in the past. And what's revolutionary, I think, is that you can just have a conversation now and instruct your assistant to take care of things that need to be done in one go. So thank you for showing that.
Yes, and I don't even need any complicated prompts. I just talk to it as I would be talking to a human. I only said a simple command to do this, remove this, approve this, or change this. So
I was just going to tell you, like, it's a wonderful demo, but one of the things that I think would be interesting for translators is for you to highlight some of the prompts that you're doing here, because they are so rudimentary. It's not like really complicated at all, but I think that's makes it even more important that we kind of flag it a little bit to the audience and show them that the communication you're having with the Agentic AI is just a regular prompt, and nobody's going to have to go to school for that to accomplish that communication. You don't even have to be familiar with AI that much at all. It's just communicating as if you would be communicating with an assistant that would do it for you. In this case, it's not a human assistant; it's an AI assistant. I'm rambling on. Take over, Dorota. Go ahead.
I just want to add, you don't have to even learn the prompting techniques, because there are so many prompting techniques. You don't have to learn that. You can just ask AI to do something for you in a very simple language. Like I only said, please correct the source strings. and I listed all the changes and it did it for me, or I only said remove the approvals. So it's not really complicated. So I want to highlight one more feature. So I've mentioned that Agentic AI now has also advanced options, and you can now create your custom mode in the Agentic AI chat box.
I just
will show you.
but one thought on the last thing that I wanted to get in is, to me, it's almost like it's an intelligent search and replace that you just demonstrated. Doesn't that make sense?
Yes, it looks like this, yes. So back to the Agentic AI, to the advanced options. So at the bottom here, you can see this little menu. It says add custom mode. So you can now create your mode for Agentic AI. You can give it permissions to different assets, such as maybe you wanted to search for search in glossary or not. Maybe you want to give it access to MCP. You can define what your new custom mode can do by choosing from these tools with the green color. So I will create one custom mode, a very simple one, just for checking the TM matches before AI suggests a new translation for me.
Is that what it says in the box there? Because I can't,
yes.
With my old eyes, I'm not reading it so clearly from here.
Yeah, it says simply always check for TM matches before suggesting new translation. So that's all I'm telling to my custom mode. So it will be like an extra rule. I don't have to type this rule every time I talk with Agentic AI, because if I use this mode, it will always remember that, well, this is like a priority. First, you have to perform the instructions from the custom mode before you do what I tell you to do in the chat box. So I will give it a name. It will be just a TM check. You can always edit this custom mode. You can also edit the instructions. And now when you use the Agentic AI, you can choose whether you want to use the agent, the built-in agent, or your custom mode. So now we can test how it works. But before we go ahead and test how it works, let me show you my translation memory. It's very easy. There are only 3 entries. I will test it. I will use it only for this specific demo. So let me open the translation memory.
I really hope that this is sparking people's imagination as how they could work differently going forward. And in essence, you're demonstrating here how flexible the platform really is becoming with these custom instructions. And this is the kind of thing maybe you would have to write a letter to the company for in the past to put in a new capability. And now you're actually engineering it yourself without having any engineering capabilities.
Yes, you have a lot of flexibility to customize the platform or the Agentic AI to your needs. So that's really handy. So here I will just show you quickly the 3 entries to my TM so we can check if it works, if my instructions work. So I have only 3 entries. Well, this, for example, invalid. This could be translated into Polish into many different ways. There could be 3 different genders. I have only 1 gender here in my TM, and that's exactly the one I want to use in my translation. And for new today, the TM match doesn't say literally new today, it says new users today. So there's no way AI could translate the strings like this, or a human could translate it like this, because, well, the source doesn't say new users, it says just new today. But this is the TM match I want to use in my project. So I will go back to my Agentic AI chat box, and I will try to translate these strings. First, maybe I will also add an extra instruction to my custom mode. I will say that if there is still something ambiguous, please add a comment. So my extra short instruction is, if a string is ambiguous from context, add a comment summarizing the ambiguity and then propose a clearer variant in case there's still something that is unclear. And now in that chat box here, I will only tell AI to pre-translate the string. So I'm not telling it to check the TM matches. I'm only saying translate all untranslated strings in this file, because I'm already using that TM check mode. So it should, by default, it should know it has to go first, apply the TM matches. But I'm only asking for translation. Let's see how that works. So it listed some translations. And let's see if it will find the TM matches. Yes, it says it found 3 TM matches for me. And we can go ahead and check. We can see here, for example, the literal translation would be new today, but it's, well, new users today. So that's exactly my entry from the TM I've showed you earlier. And next string, the other 2 strings were also translated as per my instructions, as per my translation memory entry. And all the other strings were translated, well, in the way AI decided it's correct. There were no ambiguities flagged anymore. So I had this extra instruction for uncertain or for ambiguous strings, but it didn't flag anything anymore, which is also okay. So now with these updated agentic AI features, you can perform more operations on your file. You can edit comments, you can edit source strings, and you can customize the agentic AI to your needs. And this gives you more control over AI features and also saves some time, especially if there are some steps you perform regularly. You don't have to type them every time in the chat box. You can just use that custom mode.
And if I understand it correctly too, with what you're showing us here, you could potentially combine this with some other custom instructions. Maybe your customer is providing you with a style guide that needs to be paid attention to, or maybe this is in relation to some prior versions of something that was translated in the past, and you want to exceptionally take into account some auxiliary documents that are typically not used for this particular client. This gives you full flexibility to kind of custom make your workflow and empower yourself with the agentic AI to pay attention to all kinds of things that would be cumbersome otherwise. I'm just thinking that this is a revolutionary way for translators to employ several layers of additional complexity without having to do it all themselves, so to speak. Am I correct, or am I just off my rocker, Dorota?
Yeah, there are many ways to add more context to your file, and there are many ways to guide AI to the results you really want. I just wanted to show you one more thing. So for even more control, remember, you can still use the user rules that we discussed in episode 1. So you can find those user rules under AI section. Let me just go back to the dashboard. Yes, so here's the AI section, and you go to the providers, you choose Agentic AI. And here you'll see this rules, custom user rules. So you can add any extra instructions that would be applicable to that particular user. So here I'm adding it, so those rules will be always relevant for all my projects. So for example, here I want Agentic AI to remember that for all mobile applications, it should always translate mobile app strings in a casual and informal style. So this rule will be always applicable to all my projects. So I don't have to ask Agentic AI in that chat box to do it for me, because, well, this is my user rule and it will follow it. So we discussed it in the episode 1. So this is still a very handy feature, and it gives you even more control over the output of Agentic AI.
Yeah, this layered approach is really, really revolutionary in my mind. It's going to change how people go about their business, and it gives you instant flexibility to add something that is not in the software. You're essentially in charge of everything without having to know any code, and just applying some simple prompt engineering here. If anything, for people to get started, they can copy what you're doing here, but even if they didn't see what you were doing, they could talk through it with the machine in easy human-like communication. Wonderful. You had some other new features that you wanted to highlight, Dorota, in parting.
Yes. Correct. So there are two new handy updates now in Crowdin. So one of them is Context Harvester. So as a project owner, you might be losing if you are not using this feature. So it helps you find translation context from the code. Context Harvester uses Agentic AI and it automatically analyzes your project and then it tries to see how each key is used. And then it extracts context that is useful both for humans and for AI. So developers can add this app to help translators understand the context, and then you eliminate the need for manual insertion of screenshots or reference files because Context Harvester does it for you based on the resources that you have. Here's a quick example. This is just a sample of findings that Context Harvester can pull up for you. For example, for that string authorization authorize here, Context Harvester can decide that, it's used as the title for a button where the user can initiate the authorization process. So normally, as a project owner or project manager, you would have to type this context manually in the translation editor. But here, Context Harvester pulls this context for you. And, you save time because you don't have to answer the questions about the context, or you don't have to insert this contextual information manually.
This is one of these features that I think is going to be popular with translators, but it might be even more popular with the end client who doesn't always have to go answer questions from the pesky linguist that doesn't know where this the context is coming from. It's wonderful to see. Thank you for sharing that.
One last feature I want to highlight, a new tool, is Dubbing Studio. So I have tested it extensively and I'm really impressed of how it works. So it's an integrated AI-powered solution for audio localization. It makes professional dubbing accessible and affordable for teams of any size, for example, for game developers. So this tool now is integrated with 11 Labs, and soon there will be more providers, and also there will be a video dubbing feature. So let me briefly show you how it works. So here, Dubbing Studio, once you install this app, it will be available under the Tools section. And here you can easily create your audio scene. So as you can see on the right-hand side, I have the strings that are in my in my audio asset. These are just strings from the game. It's a dialogue from the game. These strings were also translated into Polish, but now I'm working on the original file. I can simply add a new track here. It could be a voice, it could be a sound effect or music, and then I pull the strings to my new track, and all I have to do is to select a voice. So there are a lot of voices you can choose from. So these voices come from 11 Labs. Version 3 of 11 Labs has now more than 70 languages, and for every language you'll find many natural sounding voices. So when you create an audio scene here, all you have to do is, select a voice. You can customize it to your needs. You generate the voice, save changes, and then you build the whole audio scene, also with music and sound effects. And now when you go to the translation editor, so here's the same scene in the translation editor. When your strings are translated, Crowdin will automatically pull those translated strings. So this is the original, the colorful one, it's the original scene. And here we have the translation. And these strings, for example, correspond to this one. Now all I have to do for my Polish dubbing to be successful, I have to choose new voices. So I have to assign a new voice here, and then
I was going to ask you. I would love for you to say that sentence in Polish once. I never hear you speaking Polish, but you scrolled past it already.
So for these strings, for example, it was here. Nie możemy ciągle odpierać ich ataku. So that's just one.
That is unbelievable.
That's one way of translating this string of "we can't hold them off forever." So then once you assign the voices, your sound effects and the music will be the same, right? You only assign new voices to the strings. You download your audio asset, and then you can use it in your game. And in this way, you have a very easy and powerful solution for AI-based dubbing, and you get high quality and natural sounding voices. And we have another video just on this app, on this dubbing studio here. So if you want a deep dive into AI dubbing, you can have a look at our video. We will add the link below.
That's another recording with the wonderful Dorota Pavlak, and she will teach you all the details in that particular video. So look it up. I highly recommend it. This is wonderful functionality. We have come to the end, I believe, of the Power Up episode this quick already. Lots of new features and details to search and review here with you. Thank you so very much, Dorota, for bringing us all this functionality and guiding us through the episode. Appreciate it.
Thank you.